What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Culture 316. I am one of your hosts and producers, Jordan Nahisi.
Joined by your co-host, Mo. What is going on, people?
The mask is back for Mo. That's number one. But number two, thank y'all so much for tuning in and supporting us per usual. If you are watching us on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you are listening on an Apple Podcast or a Spotify, be sure to subscribe to the show, give it a 5 stars, because this is how we expand. We get up there in the charts and in the ratings. So please be sure to just like, comment, subscribe wherever you are. Also, before I forget, we do have a Reddit. So be sure to join our Reddit. It's going to be in the link in the description, but we're really just trying to make a conscious effort to build community. As you can see, we do have perks for our community with our Culture Connected segments, our Culture Connected shows. So join the community and maybe you can be on. I don't know. No promises. And
I want to
also,
meet y'all. Go ahead.
right. and also, and also, happy 50th birthday to hip hop. On August 11th, 1973, hip hop was born in the Bronx, New York. And obviously, we just kind of wanted to make light of that because hip hop has had an immense impact on the world and has had an immense impact on wrestling culture. So we just kind of wanted to put that into perspective, say thank y'all, or not thank y'all, but happy birthday, hip hop. And speaking of hip hop, that's going to lead us into our first segment because this, I think it was Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. Mo and I were talking on the space, right? And we saw Finn Balor with these, I think it was like high Jordan ones or mid Jordan ones, and they were a custom version. There was like purple and black for the Judgment Day, and it also had the Finn Balor logo on the shoe. And then it got us to thinking, which 5 wrestlers should have sneaker collabs and who should they have them with? So I want to start with Mo. Who are 5 wrestlers who should have sneaker collabs? Because sneakers are a very, very big part of hip hop. So who are five wrestlers who should have sneaker collabs, and with who should they have them with?
I'm just really surprised that back then they did not come up with this idea with John Cena because there's any other time to capitalize on the idea of just having your foot somewhere imprinted into the sneaker game. John Cena was it. Can you imagine a camera close up with John Cena pumping the tongue to the shoe? And there's just like a Cena logo or whatever, the spinner belt logo, whatever the fuck. I'm not sure if they would put a spinner belt on the goddamn shoe. That'd be hard though. But could you imagine if they started it with Cena? I know he's not present, but if he ever wanted to come back, since that man has never had his last match quite yet, that'd be a great promo.
That would be a
Say,
great
just throwing it
promo.
out there, WWE. But people currently, the bloodline, I feel like would fly off the fucking walls
You said
if
who?
they gave it the bloodline in general. I mean, you could put it underneath Roman or the Usos, but that would fit because Roman's like pretty much the face of the whole entire brand. They have the hottest storyline going on right now, but people do pay attention to the drip or whatever. And I feel like for Roman or the Usos, either or, especially because Jay is like, the undercover babyface right now, that would work.
Mm-hmm.
Cody Rhodes don't really wear sneakers outside of WWE because he could sell. He would sell. Ironically, he would sell because he's the next John Cena, but he doesn't have that drip. I gotta think. Who's really known for wearing sneakers?
New Day.
New Day's definitely. New Day could work. Ooh, yeah. I'm surprised that hasn't happened either. What else? Because like the Bloodline comes to my mind. New Day comes to my mind. I don't know anyone else that really like you look at their shoes every single time that they come out. Anyone from NXT wear sneakers?
I don't know. Probably like a Mellow. I don't know if he wears sneakers, but I feel like Mellow would have a good sneaker.
He would, right? You could see them advertising it too, and it would just fit into their promo. But not that many wrestlers are known for like sneaker wear. Do you have 5? I don't think I can name 5 that are current.
All right, so boom. I was considering all time. I wasn't even considering just current.
Oh, all
So
time. Oh,
and
okay.
and well, all time meaning like current is included. But I'm gonna start with John Cena. I feel like John Cena should have his own pair of Reebok pumps. Like he was synonymous with that pump shoe. Like that's what he used to do when he was about to hit the AA. A Reebok John Cena slash WWE collab would be money. So that's number one. So
People wear
John
Reeboks
Cena,
now?
huh? Oh yeah, especially like
Really?
The Shaqs, Allen Iverson Reeboks are coming back in style now because like the 2000s aesthetic is coming at. So they can bring back the pumps and have John Cena like do like his own like Reebok pump. So that's number one. Number two, I would love to see that Finn Balor Judgment Day one. That was fly. I think that would fly off the shelf. So that's number two.
Gothic one, yeah.
Number three, you're gonna actually
Converse.
like this.
Ooh.
No, nah. For number three, Kurt Angle. Imagine a imagine. Hold on, hear me out. Hear me out.
Sorry.
Imagine a pair of Jordan 7s with the red, white, and blue with the Kurt Angle logo on the
I
side or
want
on
it
the back.
now. I don't know what it
That's
looks
number
like, but I want it now.
They already have a pair of Jordan 7s. All they would have to do is just put a pair of a Kurt Angle logo on the back or on the side.
Oh, you're
So
saying
that
all
already has like the
time.
red, right, and blue, and it also has gold because the sevens, the Jordan 7s were, I believe, the shoes that Jordan wore during the 92 Olympics. So
Does
that
it
would
come
work.
with a gold medal?
That would be it would be that ooh, that would be tough. If it had like a gold medal, like print on the side or something along those lines. Something that was like gold medal-esque. But that would be like my number
That's
three.
sexy.
Number four, I would do like a New Day pair of New Balances, like the 574, but it would be like multicolored and it would have like pastels. I think that would be
That's,
tough. I think the New Day had a sneaker, but it was like short lived and it wasn't with like the biggest brand. So I would love to see them do that.
you know what I'm
And
surprised about though? Converse didn't like do nothing with WWE because AJ Lee, Cora Jade, and Alexa Bliss both made like
they made that popular, yeah.
especially the long Converse. I'm very surprised that that did not make a comeback with WWE or didn't have no crossover or something. That I could have
I
seen, especially with Alexa Bliss's gimmick. I don't even like the bitch, but if you weren't gonna capitalize with AJ Lee, you could have definitely made it happen with Alexa Bliss's dark gimmick at the time. Just saying.
100%. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. And my last
All up
one.
in your ear.
So I was gonna do Roman Reigns and the Bloodline, but you already
Oh
took
my
that.
god, that's sexy.
But
I
I
want
have
a blood drip symbol on the back
on the
where the heel
back,
is.
but I have a better idea. What if the
I'm
Undertaker
listening.
had a pair of Jordan 4s? And it would be like predominantly black with purple laces, and on the tongue, instead of like the Jordan logo, it has like the purple cross logo type of situation that he normally has. So
If
I
he
think that
gets one, now if he gets one, I feel like Stone Cold deserves one too.
I think that Stone Cold deserves one as well. I think Stone Cold deserves one. I think that The Rock deserves one. But I'm thinking in
But
terms
what
of
concept
like,
for The Rock? I feel like with Stone Cold, you could just put like broken glass somewhere as a design on the shoe for like the
no,
print or something, and
not
have the
broken glass.
skull. What?
The
The
skull. The
skull.
skull.
But you could do
Yes.
both. You could have broken glass towards the back, and it's like faded in, almost like it's a white towards front, but it's like broken faded glass towards the back or some shit. And have the skull printed either. I don't know. It could be like a bunch of tiny skulls, or it
Yeah.
could be a skull on the tongue. I just feel like I don't know. I could see it. 316 could
There's
be printed out on the back where the heel is, or
there's so
towards the
much you can
side.
do. There's so much
For
you can
Stone
do
Cold,
with Stone Cold. I feel like there's also a lot you can do for triple like for DX. If you did like a DX, like a
ooh,
DX, I'm trying to think of like a sneaker off the top of my head. I can't
like
think
a
of one off the top.
gooey fucking red, not like Nickelodeon goo, but just like DX. Not even goo, like spray paint. Spray
Jordan
paint would look more
13s
better.
with like the green, like it'll be like predominantly black, but like DX would be spray painted on the side, like the
Yes,
'06.
yes.
Um, if Cody were to get a pair of sneakers, I would. This is gonna be plain Jane, but I would do
Yeah.
the Adidas shell toes, but it'd be like but like the three stripes that are usually like black. It would be like the red, the blue, and the gold because of the
Cody
American
looks like an
Nightmare.
Adidas to you?
Cody is a I don't know. I don't think that he's an
Does
Adidas.
this man wear sneakers? Have we seen him wear sneakers? He looks like he wears like Vans or something. I don't know.
Nah, I think he yo, Vans is disrespectful. But you know what it is?
Vans and a golf shirt. Go
If
ahead.
Cody did a sneaker, it would have to be something that's very, very simple that you can add things to. So like for Cody, I would do like an Adidas shell toe or like a Nike Air Force One. Like he would have his own custom all white like Air Forces, but it would have
He
to have
looks
like
like an
some
Air
color.
Force.
He looks like an Air Force kind of guy. I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like if Miss Brandy Rose is in that house, they have someone has a pair of Uptowns.
Who looks like
Someone
a
has.
dunk?
Ooh. Um,
New Day? Not New Day. I feel like Judgment Day could pull off the dunk, I
Judgment Day,
guess.
because I mean, like the Jordan ones are the Jordan one high tops kind of look like dunks, so they could do dunks too. But
They could do dunks.
they could dunks.
Dang, they
But
could do
anyway,
dunks.
how do y'all feel? We want to know about the how y'all feel. Which 5 wrestlers should have sneaker collabs? Let us know in the comments. I'm like stalling because I'm trying to get to the next topic. Just put it in the comments below.
Yes.
But if while we're on the topic of John Cena, as we mentioned, Mo and I were also talking about if John Cena were to put out like one last rap album, who would be deserving of a feature on the album? Like who should be featured on the album? I'm gonna limit it to like 3 rappers. So what 3 rappers would you put on the last John Cena album?
I know I slander him all the time on Twitter and in real life, but Drake is a WWE fan. I have seen that picture of him walking around with the Universal title. And so, since it's Drake, Drake could be serious and unserious at the same time. I feel like Drake should be incorporated in the album. And you know what? It might be bold, but he could even remix My Time Is Now. I could see it. Have him like in the beginning after there's a da da da. Like I feel like in the beginning, let
I
Drake
could
take
imagine it too.
over. For real, he could do that, and then just let it go back to John's part. I'm actually cool with that if Drake wanted to just do that, just because it is Drake. I feel like he's the most powerful man in hip hop right now. Like literally anything that Drake touches is gold. He could get anyone over. It's actually like scary and
It's nuts.
insane Drake's power. So I feel like since he's a fan, that could work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give it to Drake. That's
Who's
number
next?
one. I'm not sure if I want to give him. Actually don't really like his music that much. But didn't Wiz Khalifa do a few collabs with John Cena? I want to
He
ask
did
this
a
real
collab. He
quick.
did one collab. He did
Wasn't
one
it
collab.
two? Wasn't it two?
Um, no, I
For
think it was just only one.
for the 2014 or 2015 game, I could have swore that John did two different collabs, unless he did a song by himself. Wiz
I
and
think it was
John.
just one. I think it was on the 2K soundtrack.
It wasn't two. I don't know why I thought it was. It was that.
I'm looking it up right now. That's the
No,
reason
it's
why I'm on the phone.
all day. They definitely did all day. Oh, he did all day and breaks. I just peeped it.
Oh,
All day and breaks. I actually don't really like his music like that, but I do appreciate the fact that he did music with John twice. He has to be a fucking mark. I don't know what strings he pulled to
who
get
Wiz
John
or John?
first, but is Wiz wants to come back for just somewhere in the middle. I'll be okay with that. Um, Eminem has been ducking WWE a lot. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't like it. He needs to get his ass in there and do a collab with John. Just because, not for nothing, that's what I saw as a kid when I used to watch John Cena. I thought he was kind of emulating in my head like what people viewed Eminem to be in the beginning. So I kind of would be okay if Eminem was just being unserious and he brought back Slim Shady and he wasn't. I don't need Marshall. I don't need Eminem. I don't need him decimating people. I need Slim Shady. I need the unserious Eminem. That's just fun, but bringing in fun bars. That would be great. That would be so fun just to see two white boys toss it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna throw Drake. I'm gonna put Eminem. Wiz Khalifa could go somewhere. He could be on the side for my possible honorary third choice because he did come back twice. But a third person, third person. This is hard. Third person.
I
Who
just hope you
deserves
don't
it?
get any of my people.
Nah, I want it to be different from your people because I'm excited. I'm excited to hear the way you articulate your third people and why. Third people. Who has been doing a good job that deserves it? I'm thinking about money. I'm thinking about money. I'm thinking about good collabs. But I'm also thinking about the way they would balance with John. Do I even like today's new rappers like that?
Perhaps, but it depends. I feel like it depends on the rapper.
Right, 'cause it's so hard. Because see, when John talks, he also sounds like he's conducting like a meeting he's proctoring. I don't know why, but that's the voice that John has nowadays when he raps. When I listen to
Right.
like All Day Embrace compared to his first album. So I'm trying to think about what his voice could actually tolerate where it won't just sound like he's cutting a promo. Because we don't
Right.
need that whole collaboration like what happened with Tech Nine and The Rock. Because not for nothing, that sounded like when The Rock came in for his part, that sounded like a whole ass promo.
That's
Everyone else
crazy.
thought they was rapping. The Rock just gave a whole promo, and then he just threw in an ad for Terramana at the end and signed
The ad for
off.
Terramana.
All right, you know what? I just want to hear your three. I want to think about my third. You gonna give me your three?
All right. So first things first. If John Cena does an album, if John Cena does one more album, and he needs three people. The
Yeah.
first, I think this can count as a group, but it's three people, but it counts as a group. He needs 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, and Tony Ayo. He needs G
50
Unit.
Cent. Oh my God, you're brilliant.
He needs G Unit on his album. Why? Because the entire advertising campaign for John Cena's, the beginning of John Cena's solo career was G Unit. The chain gang spinning chain was G Unit. The
It was.
WWE Championship spinning belt was G Unit. The You
Indeed
Can't See
was.
Me, this thing, he got it from Tony Yayo. That's G Unit. So I feel like G Unit needs to do a song with John Cena. The second person is Max Caster because I feel like ever since Max Caster has come out, they've been drawing comparisons from Caster to John Cena. And I think if you're gonna do an album with if you're gonna have a wrestler do an album, that means that your target demographic is the wrestling crowd, which means that you have to have a track on there that's going to super serve your niche. So I
But
feel like a lot
WWE's
of
not gonna co-sign that shit.
WWE's not gonna co-sign that. He's not gonna co-sign it. But at the same time, it's like if John Cena is doing this independently, he could do it on his own. And I highly, highly doubt that WWE is gonna be so petty that they're gonna like, oh, you can't do this track, or what? They're gonna discipline him. They're gonna fine him. They're gonna suspend him. They're gonna fire him when the dude is already part time and when he's arguably already one of the most highest grossing acts in the company. So I think that Max Caster would be a great little throw in. So that's my first two is G Unit and Max Caster, and my third feature is J Cole. I would want to see J
J.
Cole do
Cole.
a song with John Cena
What
because
the
I
fuck
feel
they
like
gonna talk about?
John Cena is very much a boom bap guy, and out of like the new rappers, the person who's like the most palatable guy who can do boom bap and give you like a quality verse, I think is Cole. I think Cole can get
I
on the
rather
John Cena
Kendrick.
song.
I rather Kendrick than Cole.
Kendrick is gonna give us a quadruple what is that? A quadruple metaphor. And I love Kendrick. Kendrick is my favorite rapper, but I don't want to be thinking when I listen to a John Cena song. I
But
just
John
want to be
Cena
able to
does. He makes you think a little bit.
a
He's not.
little, just keyword a little bit. That's the key word, just a
It's like a
tad.
pun. It's nothing but
It's
puns in his songs.
it's a ponder. It's like a
A
okay,
ponder.
now I'm back to the song. Kendrick, you will ponder his verse while another verse is happening. You'll be still unpacking the verse that he just did while somebody else is rapping. I don't need that. I
You're
need
like,
something that's
oh
easy. I
shit.
need something that's great quality but it's
Yeah.
easily understood and it's easily digestible. And because of that, I want to have Cole on the album. So those are my three people: is G
Alright,
Unit,
I
Max
respect that.
Caster, J Cole. But we want to know how y'all feel about this. If John Cena was to do one final album of his career, who are the three rappers that you would want to be on it? But we're gonna be moving
Oh, it's
on.
gonna be messy.
Yeah.
I'm excited
So
about messy.
yeah, this is the real meat of the show. So so CM Punk and Hangman Adam Page seem to be going at it again. This time, CM Punk took shots at Hangman Adam Page on this past episode of AEW Collision as the show went off the air. His promo was in response to a fan sign that said, "Carolina is Hangman country." He went on to say that Hangman is a peg warmer because he doesn't move any toys in the toy aisle. In response to that, there have been reports saying that Punk actually apologized to Hangman for how the joke landed or how it came off. And then on top of that, there were other reports about, Ace Steel not being allowed backstage and Punk blocking certain things and blocking certain moves. And it just seems like it's a whole new set of drama. But I just wanted to know what your take is on the CM Punk Hangman Adam Page feud.
I think okay, so I read some reports where it's just all a work. But I think that is, and let me add this. Not only that I read that it's a work, but I read where they have some clause going where they're only allowed to basically slander one another when it's in relation to programming. They cannot
Mm,
do it off screen. They cannot do it like if they're on social media or something like that. They can't just do it randomly. It has to be within the context of programming. And he just chose to do it right after. And apparently they're saying what provoked him is just the sign. I don't
mm,
know. To me, it still came off like he's being petty and that he's bothered. I don't think that it's entirely a work. I do think Punk is very much bothered. He's very easily bothered. I feel like he's
absolutely.
very much immature because in comparison to what anything Hangman has been doing, I understand the elite as a whole has been throwing shade at Punk, but I don't think Hangman specifically really has been throwing shade at Punk. So for him to just be like, oh, well, he's a peg warmer. That's why I have, that's why I sell merch and blase skip. I just think that he's just kind of bitter and washed up. But then at the same time, it's kind of also a little brilliant because I know that they're still building a feud. And they got me invested because I
Mm-hmm.
can't tell if it's 100% a work or not. I cannot tell. All I know is that I'm pissed. And maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe that's exactly what they wanted, and I'm just eating it the fuck up, and I'm doing exactly what they wanted me to do. Because right now, in my fan ass head, I'm actually pissed at Punk. I'm seeing someone that's bitter over some some bullshit that didn't happen a year ago. I'm still mad at the bullshit that happened a year ago, and I feel like he's bringing up old shit because it's believable. Because it's Punk, and Punk is the type to be outspoken and say whatever the fuck he wants to say because he's a Chicago boy at heart. He gonna
Mm,
talk that shit no matter what.
right.
So I can't tell if he's just being childish and ruining everything from the inside out, or they're doing exactly what they wanted me to do in
Mm,
response. But also, another report that I read, people were sent home, and that Hangman was actually sent home as well.
mm,
That he had to record his promo at home, or not at home, but basically off the premises of AEW, and that other people were sent home due to Punk.
mm,
So I feel like it's also a situation where it could be both. That it could be a work and they're playing off of work because they got a big ass pay per view coming on, but Punk is also antagonizing and quite literally the problem. And that they fear that they're going to have more issues going into the next pay per view because, not for nothing, Tony Khan is a Punk boy. He is. There was a report that I read where this man,
I
following
know
the
what you're about to
fight,
say.
he over here being a fucking Mark Shannon CM Punk Daniel Bryan stance. Like, my dude, you're a whole ass boss. You are a whole ass boss being a mark. I can't take you seriously. I don't think anyone here takes you seriously. That's why your whole roster backstage is in a full disarray.
Mm,
And I can't tell if that's good or bad. That he's a bad boss. Like it's weird because in a weird way, it makes me interested in the show
mm,
because there's chaos. And then I want to know what's gonna happen next because as a fan, we're all nosy. We're all nosy as shit, right?
that,
That's
yeah.
that's that's one part of my brain. The other part of my brain is thinking, well, if this was Vince, then y'all be playing this shit. Y'all would be tightened the fuck up and doing nothing but playing your role because you're gonna get suspended, fine, or your ass gonna be sent home fired, packing your bags. Like whatever you can't do, someone else gonna do. You
Mm-hmm.
just gave someone else a spot. People were in WWE are scared. They want to maintain their spot, but in AEW, I just feel like it's a playground. It's a playground, and I made this reference in the chat. It just seems like these motherfuckers, when they're applying for AEW, they read the whole job description, whatever, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna work my little 8-hour shift. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to be an associate, blase, skip. But then they just take this shit and go to Tony Khan after applying the job and be like, yeah, I want this job, but I want to work 2 hours instead of 8. I want to work with Jenny instead of Janae. I want to be only morning hour shifts. And if not, I'm gonna raise hell because I'm
Mm,
not gonna go anywhere, right? This is all
right.
free creative control. I'm sorry, I'm getting off task or whatnot here, but I just feel like it's just there's no sense of control. There's no order backstage. So I can't tell if this is real or not. If they're playing off the fact we know that there's no order back there, so let's just turn this all into a work because everyone's already gonna be ruffled up, which
Right.
I am. But I ranted long enough. Jordan, what is your take?
So I'm so glad that you brought that up. So I'm going to address what you were addressing first, and then I'm going to address the Punk
Just a
situation,
whole
right?
lot.
So one of the things we were talking about in the group chat, and I love how we were able to put the group chat into the show, is that there are a lot of people who who joined AEW, and what it seems like, not necessarily truth, because obviously I don't know, but what it seems like is there are a lot of people that went to AEW under the guise of the desire to have creative control, and in reality, they just want to do the things outside of the creative world, the creative realm, I should say. They want the freedom to do things that they couldn't do in WWE because AEW is not going to hold them accountable the way that WWE would hold them accountable, right?
Absolutely.
When you talk about the roster being in disarray and backstage being in disarray,
Hmm.
9 times out of 10, it's petty things that are allowed to fester and develop over time, and they're not addressed, and things that people would normally be fired for or let go for, they're being kept. And it's like, that's all well and good, but like, did you come to AEW because you wanted to be able to run a rough shot in a way that you wouldn't have been able to do in WWE, or did you actually want creative freedom? Because I'm looking at guys like John Moxley, who are the least problematic people in the world, and you can tell that they came for creative freedom. You can look at a Chris Jericho and you can tell that they came for creative freedom, right? But then
Mhm.
when you look at some of these other talents, it's like the only time I'm hearing more stuff about who you are and what your attitude is backstage than I am about your on-screen product. A lot of these people have more Twitter time than they do TV time. And it's like
Ooh,
it's
what a
because
quote. What a
there's more.
quote.
That's a bar. Stop playing. But like, and a lot of it is just because like like y'all would much rather be in a state where you're just causing drama than you're actually creating. And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just how I feel, right? A lot of these cats is getting more Twitter time than they do TV time, and it's not by coincidence. Because it's just because y'all get to AEW, a place where there is more creative freedom, and instead of using that ability to develop your character, to help develop stories, you just run around creating drama, being mean girls, being mean to other people. Like, it's just too much. And it's just like, for all that, like, if you were to do this in WWE, you would be fired by now. And that's part of the reason why y'all have such a negative attitude towards WWE, is just because you couldn't do what you're doing in AEW and WWE. You would be straightened and sent home. Period. So that's my whole thing when it comes to the AEW backstage politics, or whatever the case may be.
Oh, exactly.
Um now, when it comes to the Punk situation, I think it's a work. I think it's 100% a work, Because to be
Really?
honest, because to be honest, I think that if Punk really wanted to go in, that would have been the first order of business from when he came back. I think that he would have taken advantage of it then. But I think that he's doing it in a way that's going to add value to whatever happens between FTR and the Young Bucks at All In. Because when you see FTR, at this point, you also think CM Punk. When you see the Young Bucks, you're at this point going to think of Hangman Adam Page. And if Punk can add fuel to the fire that is that trilogy, in order to give it value without necessarily having to say something that's like volatile or personal, then I think that he's going to do that. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But I
Mhm.
feel like at the same time, like I feel like a lot of people are up in arms about Punk because they feel like, oh, this is real. And it's just like, well, ain't that the point? Ain't that the point, to make you feel as if it's real so that you can actually be emotionally invested? Because let's be honest, over the past 10 years, when it comes to wrestling journalism, we think that we know everything. And so if we can take a peek behind the curtain, or at least have the illusion that we have a peek behind the curtain, we're automatically going to be more emotionally invested because we think we know.
Hell
Because we
yeah.
think we know. So I really don't have a problem with all this. I think it's getting blown out of proportion. And I think that is just a work at the end of the day. But that's all I really had to say about the
I just
Punk.
have one more question though, because
Go ahead.
like people are comparing the people are pretty much comparing the viewership of Collision to basically that of Rampage because again it's on Saturday. Do you think
Yeah,
this is on purpose so that people will try to actually tune in to a Saturday show?
absolutely. I think that, and if I could add on to that, I think that Collision has a great television product that rivals Dynamite. And I feel like part of the reason why stuff like this is being done is so that they can keep those ratings up. They can not keep those ratings up, but get those ratings up and attract more viewers. Because if they are not attaining the viewership that they want, it's not because of the quality. One of the best
Mm-hmm.
tag team matches I ever seen in my life, with Jay White and Juice Robinson versus FTR, happened 2-3 weeks ago. They are having
Mm.
quality matches. And if we're being honest, and we have to give CM Punk the credit that he deserves, he is currently making Ricky Starks into a star. All right. Between the matches that he's had with him, the storyline that's being developed, Punk playing the face while Ricky plays the heel, which is Ricky's element. Like, we're seeing Ricky blossom into the star and be the main event guy that we've known him to be. So Punk is actually being selfless, and y'all don't talk about that enough. But I
I
do
will
believe,
never.
huh?
I will never.
Of course, you never. But I feel like they really want to get the ratings up, and this is another way how to do it. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, I think that even beyond the ratings, like, Collision is still getting a lot of attention and a lot of viewership even after the show ends. So that may or may not even be a relevant metric. But how about yourself? Do you think that this is a ratings ploy?
Hmm. I honestly think it might.
Mm,
I think it might just because coming out of Collision, I mean, I'm not saying Collision's a bad show, but you have to understand how exhausting it is to watch wrestling 6 days out the week. You get Monday Night Raw, Tuesday night NXT, Wednesday night Dynamite, Thursday night, if you care to, Impact, Friday night got SmackDown, and now you want to throw in a day that's usually supposed to be just for pay per views for WWE. You want to throw in Collision into there.
yeah.
It's very risque, but they got a motherfucking pay per view. I think two they might
Mm,
have to promote. Drastic times calls for drastic measures? Question
mm,
marks. I think that they're trying to take what was a shoot and make it a work and make it actually work. Is it working as of right now? Yeah, because I'm
yeah.
pissed. So can I be mad? Not
Yes, you
really.
could. Right. I was
Well,
about to
I'm
say yes, you
mad.
can.
I'm mad within reason. I'm mad within reason because I can't tell if it's real or fake until everything's done. And I
Right.
gotta see if this man gets mad and if he's invited to another media scrum after.
Mm.
We won't know.
That would be so funny if he goes into another media scrum.
He needs to be banned from media scrums.
He's
Moving
media
on.
scrumless. But yes, moving on. Let us know how you feel about the CM Punk situation. But speaking of conflict, we got some some juicy stuff because Asuka doesn't normally pop off like this, and she did. She had time today because this past weekend, Asuka let off a series of tweets against Japanese wrestling and Japanese media. She went on to state the following, and these are quotes from her Twitter, and these are screenshots that I'm reading from. I don't flatter anyone. Even in Japan, the media hated me because I don't flatter the media. In Japan, everyone was flirting with the media except for me, except me. I fought the media alone to take care of my fans. That's why some of the Japanese media still hate me. That's why I've always been a freelancer, and everyone in Japan knows I am anti Joshi pro always. The former editor in chief of Pro Wrestling Weekly has made this point on several occasions. That is, Stardom is an organization that was created to defeat me. It is an organization that was created to destroy me personally, but they failed to defeat me. I don't know what happened to them after that because I came to America. And just for reference, because I had to do my research, I don't think that Asuka actually ever worked for Stardom, but she did work for other promotions in Europe, in Japan, as well as some other places. But she was never a Joshi girl. She was never a Stardom girl. What do you think about these comments? And what do you
It's
think about these? Yeah, what do you think about these comments?
it's crazy 'cause I know she's pissed. I know she's pissed because Asuka will write most things in Japanese. On a regular ass day, she'll write everything in Japanese. But I had to translate shit. She wanted to know how she wanted us to understand how pissed off she was. She made sure everything was already pre-translated in English. All right. So that's how I know Asuka is fucked up. And I read every little bit of it. Homegirl's going off for a whole entire hour and some hour in the middle of the night. Asuka had enough. Um, I do not watch Stardom. I know some of Asuka's work. I do not all know all of Asuka's work. I was personally introduced to Asuka via NXT or whatnot. But it seems like they have like a long-standing rivalry with each other, and I'm not. I, my thing is that like okay, what exactly provoked her? Was it
Mm,
because they wrote about her elsewhere
I have
in
no idea,
some
to be
media
honest.
thing? I just want to know. I understand she already had an issue with Stardom, but and maybe I want to look it up right now. But what exactly provoked her to go off in this very moment to choose now? Did
Mm,
Stardom respond to her following her losing her title on a pay per view and whatnot, and they just want to comment on it? Because I could have swore I saw an article that was commenting on nobody's ready for Asuka, and I think they were mocking her or some sorts.
yeah.
But as far as Asuka goes, listen, I may not entirely understand the whole situation will it up to this, but I love Asuka. I think she's an amazing wrestler. I think she's an amazing woman. Um, this girl be wrestling at lightning speed at the age of 40 something. Like she is amazing. And Asuka don't really speak up for very much, and she's dealt with a lot of bullshit in WWE. You think she'd be
Mm,
running her mouth about that? You know, what I mean, for her to be running her mouth about this, it had to be crucial. It had to be serious. Whatever side Asuka's on, I'm gonna be sitting on because Asuka's not really problematic. I feel like she's a woman that shows up and does her job, and I feel like she has a love and passion for pro wrestling. She changed the game when it came to Japan, and she was specifically invited into WWE so she could change the game of pro wrestling in America. And I
absolutely.
felt like she's done so within her capacity, even despite being suppressed by certain people in WWE.
Mm,
I think it's pretty fucked up that Stardom has something against Asuka. I would like to understand why, what specifically they're having an issue with Asuka for.
mm.
As you just stated, it has to do because she's not Joshi, she's pro wrestling. What did they mean by that? What does she mean by that? Do you happen to know? Can you break that down for me?
Do I happen to know as far as like what does she mean by like Joshi is against me or that?
Yeah, why is Joshi like she's talking about, but she had her issues with Stardom. She's saying Joshi's against me,
Yeah.
and she's pro wrestling.
So I from what I gathered, I think it was just a matter of like Stardom was used because if you look at Asuka's wrestling career, she was in Pro Wrestling Wave. She also did, pro wrestling. Like she was big on the Japanese indie circuit, and
Yeah.
she was primarily in DDT.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So when you look at it from that perspective, right? And arguably she was one of the biggest stars who wasn't involved with Stardom. And so you can kind of make the argument that that maybe an organization was created in response to her because she was a big star, and yet they needed to create other women stars to kind of combat her and kind of chip at her credibility because Asuka was the girl. You know what I mean? And she still is, in my opinion. Um, but I feel like what she's saying about Japanese media and Japanese wrestling is stuff that can be pretty applicable to what some may say about American media, right? Like, when you have a good relationship with the media, they're going to tend to treat you better. But when you're just like, listen, I'm here to show up and do my job, and you're not interested in giving narratives, or you're not interested in feeding rumors or things that are kind of outside of your job, they're not going to tend to like you because you're not giving them anything that's going to help them do their job to the best of their abilities. So I
Right.
can understand that. Um, However, here's another thing that I noticed, right? Because Asuka is currently involved with a feud against two, Io Shirai, who was a part of Stardom. And I think that this, above all else, is probably just another layer to the story, to that story of Asuka versus Io, because it is the anti-Stardom girly versus the Stardom girly. And so I just think that this is just another layer to that story. And because of it, I'm kind of really, really
Hmm.
excited. I don't know like what Stardom did to
But they have
make.
good relations with one another, right?
Yeah, they're cool. Like those two people are cool. But I'm not sure what the hippity hoopla is about, or what provoked Oscar to make that statement. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm very, very interested in this. Definitely caught my attention. But we want to know how y'all feel about this whole Oscar situation and her popping off. But speaking of popping off, Kurt Angle had a bunch to say about Paul Heyman. And my question is the Bloodline storyline up in the air? Because Kurt Angle thinks so. Because on a recent podcast appearance, Kurt Angle said that he believes that Paul Heyman was lying when he stated that the Bloodline story is at the bottom of the third inning and they are just now hitting their stride, and believes that he is making it up. Do you believe that the Bloodline storyline has been intentional thus far, or do you believe Kurt Angle, and are they just kind of like planning stuff as they go along?
Um, little both. Because here's the thing: you could have wrapped it up by SummerSlam. And I think that's what we wanted. And I think that we were still also expecting The Rock for some reason, this for whatever fucking reason, we were still expecting The Rock to show up at some point
Mm-hmm.
because we for some reason thought that the storyline is going to end with The Rock being somewhere involved in this shit, but he's not. This man is doing other things, more important things, whatever. That's cool. Um, and so they took a different route, and you still could have ended the storyline and just let Roman lose everything. But if he's gonna lose everything, someone needs to gain something, and I feel like yeah, either Jay Uso needs to, so you could try to give this man a solo run, or that was the time to make Solo turn on Roman so that you could try to give Solo his own shining spotlight because the fans love Solo. I love Solo.
Yeah.
You love Solo. Solo's he's that motherfucker. Like I love him. He's great. Um you could have. You really could have. But the thing is that what draws people to WWE television as of right now is really what's going on with the bloodline.
Mm.
There's no other stories that really feel that captivating. There's wrestlers that we like, duos that we enjoy. We're happy that Io has the belt. We like the banter that goes along with the whole um Judgment Day storyline. We're somewhat interested in seeing what goes on with Trish and all that stuff, but nothing really quite captivates us as much as the Bloodline storyline. And while people are saying that it's going for too long, I think that you could still play around with it because there's so many different characters to tell a story with. And yeah, it was very random. No one saw the idea that Jimmy was going to turn on Jay.
Mm.
But I kind of enjoy it in the sense that What will be a better opportunity to pit two people against one another and tell a story just within that than now? Than now.
Mm,
Because I feel like people that have been watching WWE or whatnot and have been viewing the Usos, it has been a regular formula with WWE that if you see two people together, then one person needs to turn on the next. If you're gonna make it make sense to have a sibling rivalry, I feel like now technically is the time. We didn't
mm,
really plan for it to be within this time, but I feel like now is the time. Because now I'm actually invested to see how far deep you can go within this while returning the story back to Roman and Solo.
mm,
There's so many pipelines, as I said previously, going on with the Bloodline storyline, and I feel like in a weird way, I kind of like it. I kind of like it because by the end of it, everyone has experienced some form of character development. It's not just Roman eating, it's not just the introduction of a new superstar that's going to take off, but all the other side characters, quote unquote, have developed through the story.
mm-hmm,
Got to see screen time off the story, are going to become larger than life stars off of the story. And now we're looking at Jimmy as the biggest op.
mm-hmm.
Bruh, they edited Wikipedia because we was
They
so mad at
violated.
Jimmy. We done brought up his DUI. We
That's
done brought up
OD.
all of his DUI arrests.
That's OD.
Do you know how big of a heel you have to be to make a wrestling fan just take their time to go on Wikipedia and edit it like 4, 5, 6 times, calling him a cum stain, calling him Mr. DUI and all that stuff? It's kind of brilliant because you want to provoke a response out of the fans. So I don't blame Paul for being a little defensive towards Kurt because if you're going to do something very risky, you need to do it right. And long as they don't fumble it, I'm actually cool with it because that should be what the purpose of a faction is. Every person of the faction should be working in a role and working in an angle. And I'm not mad at this angle.
Mm,
I don't know how it's going to end, and that's kind of the exciting part. My eyes were so focused on Roman and Solo, I didn't think about Jimmy and Jay. I just thought
yeah.
Jay's gonna go over, but now I see them in that storyline being part of a bigger storyline. So I'm
Mm.
actually real cool with it. But Jordan, I want to hear your take on Jay going over and Paul's response.
So first things first. Number one, I actually believe Paul Heyman because if you
Mhm.
watched any interviews pertaining to Paul Heyman, especially when it comes to ECW, they say Paul will lie to his coworkers, but he won't lie to the fans.
Ooh,
And so I think
that's bold.
it's super bold, but I think that it speaks volumes about him. Um, that he is always honest with the fans because he understands that that's the consumer, and he understands that that's the important thing, is maintaining the consumer. Um, as it pertains to this storyline, I don't think that it's up in the air. However, I do believe that because the WWE audience has never been exposed to long-term storytelling the way that it's happening, it's easy to think that it's being made up on the fly. But when you look back at the last 3 years of the Bloodline storyline, you can see how intentional everything is. From
Mhm.
Roman coming in and winning the title the way that he did, to Jay and Roman feuding the first time, to Jimmy coming in, to Jay, Jimmy, and Roman dynamic, to Solo being brought in, to Sammy being brought in, to Sammy leaving, to Jay leaving, or Sammy leaving, to Jimmy leaving, to Jay leaving, to the split between everything has been very, very intentional. And in the
Mhm.
moment, we may have not understood the significance of it or what was happening, but in hindsight, we got it. And so when I'm looking at even down to the way that Jay kind of exited WWE, he speared Roman, he super kicked Solo, he speared Roman, and then he tagged Jimmy, and then he left. I think that this is going to lead to Jimmy and Roman feuding. And because Solo actually likes Jimmy more than he likes Jay, this is going to be maybe a part of the story in which Solo is going to continue to have a wedge driven between him and Roman. because of his love for
Mm.
Jimmy. But like I don't think that this is a story that's up in the air. We just don't understand what's happening because this is now a 3-year plus story. And we haven't been able to seen a consistent 3-year plus story in WWE or wrestling in general. Um, we've had a series of matches that have happened over the course of a couple years when we talk about like Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada. Even Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa had something similar in the sense that it was a form of long-term storytelling, but it wasn't this
Not as long as
long.
this
A-
shit. Mm-mm.
And on top of that, they both sustained injuries during it. And it's actually a miracle the fact that everybody is still healthy through all of this for the storyline to keep going the way that it is.
Right.
So, but there's that. But I don't think that wrestling has seen anything like the Bloodline storyline. And I think that's even more of a reason to appreciate it because it's like we're 3 years deep into a full blown, multifaceted, multi layered story where more than one person is being made a star. And I think that that's just going to be, I think that that's kind of where we're at. I think that Kurt Angle is coming from the right place because it's easy to kind of see this and say, "Oh man, they're just making it up." But I do think that they kind of planned this out, and that's kind of just how I feel about that. But we want to know how y'all feel about this Bloodline storyline. Do you agree with Kurt Angle, or do you think that, like Paul Heyman said, that the storyline is just getting started? But we're gonna move on to the next topic because my dog Mo had a question that went crazy on Twitter.
Still is.
Um,
Looking dead
Still
at it.
is getting crazy engagement, and we're going to talk about it on this show, which is dream crossover matches between AEW and WWE. So I'm going to start with you, Mo. What are some dream matches between AEW and WWE that you want to see? Give me five. Give
I
me
actually
five
want
dream
to.
matches.
I want to utilize some that the viewers had commented because I was actually impressed by you guys by some of them.
Okay.
I really love the idea of Io Sky versus Sheeta. That would
Ooh, yeah, that's tough.
definitely pop the fuck off. And I would love that. Not just because like I already know that they're champions, but in general, that would just that would fucking eat and give both of them a challenge because they're so aggressive. They're so
I agree.
intense and aggressive. That match, it needs to be a no DQ match if they're gonna
hmm
go at it. So I would love that. I have seen people comment MJF versus Sami Zayn, and I didn't get it at first, but then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, the mic work, the mic work leading up would be fucking insane because they're very witty. The both of them are very witty. Well, what comes out of their mouths is shit that like I wouldn't even conceive on my own. That comes out of MJF's mouth and Sami Zayn. So I thought that was super fun. Another one that I loved. It was Imperium versus the New Day versus the Usos. Whenever Jimmy and Jay make up,
hmm
that would be tough.
You said the New Day versus the Usos.
Sorry, the New Day versus the Usos plus
They're-
Imperium plus
Oh,
like in a triple threat match. Sorry, New Day
New
versus
Day. I'm
sorry
about to say
New
New
Day
Day.
Usos triple threat match plus sorry my bad it's a fatal four way. I messed up triple threat. Sorry, it's supposed to be a fatal four way. Fourth one was supposed to have the elite. My apologies, the elite,
Okay, I
but
was like, what?
mainly the yeah. No, it's like we already seen that on WWE program.
Right.
That was tough. But my favorite one had to been so far. Someone said Ricky Starks versus Seth Rollins. That would be the sassiest fucking match. Match and promo paired together. Sassy
Absolutely.
as hell. So I would love that. Now, if I had to think for myself, I really like. Okay, yeah, I know that this has been thrown out a billion times, but I do want to see Jade versus Bianca. Those have to be my two favorite females from AEW in general. I love Jade. I love Miss Bianca. So I most definitely want to see that. On number two, this is so cliche, but I need to see MJF and I need to see Roman.
Mm,
I just do. I just do. Because to me, those are the top men as far as AEW or WWE goes. So to me, I want to see two top guys go against one another, but I feel like Roman's mic work has worked up well enough to where MJF could play up a baby face, and I could see Roman playing his heel self, and it could still chew. So I like that very, very much. If I need like a tag team division going,
Hmm.
I actually want to see the Elite. I wish Biggie wasn't injured, but if Biggie wasn't injured, I actually would prefer to see the Elite versus the New Day. Cause I feel like the match would be very good, but still goofy as hell.
Hmm.
And I feel like that would just be really, really fun. Another one, I want to put the Acclaim versus Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, because again, that would be it'd be heat, but it'd also be unserious, but it'd
Very
be
true.
heat. I want stuff that's gonna be fun as hell to watch. And I gotta think about just one more match just to throw out there, and I haven't even thought about a main event, man. The main event would be so hard, so hard. Yeah, actually, no. As much as I dislike CM Punk, him versus Cody in the state that everything is in would be perfect television.
Right.
Perfect television to see Cody versus Punk. The amount of rigs that would be in that promo would be astonishing, but the match itself for just a main event that's gonna draw money and put asses in seats, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go with that. I think I named 4, maybe 5 or 6. Those are my picks. But Jordan, what were yours?
Ooh. All right, so boom.
Why exotic?
Obviously Jade versus Bianca was on my list.
Yes.
As far as main event is concerned, I'm gonna go with that. Main event, I'm going with Kenny Omega versus Roman Reigns. As far as MJF, I'm gonna go with MJF versus The Miz. As far as
Why the Miz? You think he deserves that?
no, but I do think that their promo back and forth.
You said no.
No, absolutely
You
not.
just reminded me of fucking Tokyo Tony when you were just like no.
No, absolutely not. Um, but I'm gonna go with them. I think that promo battle is gonna be insane. Miz versus MJF. As far as the women, if we're considering NXT Raw and SmackDown, I want to see either Io versus Tony Storm or Blair Davenport versus Jamie Hayter.
That's
As
fun.
I
She
want to
didn't verse
see,
her, right? Not
huh? Huh?
she never versed. No, I think she was out of the company before Jamie came in. Never mind. She
Yeah,
left
I
the
think
company.
she was. She was like
Yeah.
with AEW for like a brief bit and then just like dipped out.
Pandemic came in. Yeah, yeah,
S-
yeah.
So then there was that. As far as this is gonna be a sneaky one. I'm gonna go with Pac. Not Pac. Pac. Pac versus Finn Balor. I'm gonna
Finn
go.
Balor don't deserve to be on the goddamn card. What the fuck would he have accomplished to have been on that card?
Matter of fact, I take that off. I
Yeah,
take
you
that
should.
match off. I
Yeah, you
take that
should.
match off.
You
I'm
should.
gonna go with Pac versus Santos Escobar.
Now we're talking.
I'm gonna
Now we're
go,
talking.
and then I'm gonna also go
I
with.
need Ibushi on the card. Oh my god.
I need because we never got a chance to see this in WWE. I need AJ Styles versus Adam Cole. So I think we
Yeah,
need that. I think we need that.
that could actually main event, and I wouldn't be mad at it.
And last but not least, Jay White versus Edge. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just want to just fall on the floor.
But that
Like,
those are my matches though. I don't know what
Jay
show
versus
this would be on,
Edgy.
but those are just
Let's
dream
choose.
matches that I would love to see
That
between
should be his
WWE.
last match. As a matter of fact, if this was a hypothetical like pay per view, I would not be mad if that was Edge's last match. As a matter of fact, was that not a question? Considering Edge's contract is going to be up, he
Yes,
should do a cross promotion on the way out because I don't see why the fuck not.
that would be
That would
tough.
chew.
Now the question is, do you think WWE would allow that to happen?
See, if Hunter completely took over shit,
He
yeah,
probably would. Yeah.
yeah, and that would be like top of his list, top of this list. I don't really feel like there's much for Edge to do unless he wanted to go back and dip his feet back into NXT. There's not shit else for Edge to do for me unless he wants to do a callback to his to something with, I don't know, maybe Randy Orton if he wants to
Yeah,
get revenge again and he wants to end
that would
it
be
where he
tough.
started, I guess. But he already beat Randy at Mania, so it's just like, why would you do that? I
Right,
feel like if you really want to make bank, just do a crossover at this point
right.
because that would chew. But I had to just throw this in also
Okay.
because it also was a question for Cena. What is a reasonable last match for Cena?
It could be of anyone of any promotion.
I want to start with WWE because I feel like John Cena's never going to go to another promotion. He's just not going to do that.
Cody. Cody
Uh,
should be his last match.
why Cody? Like I know why, but why?
So, I mean, the way that they're positioning Cody, because I feel like anytime Cena comes back, it's like a supposing passing of the torch, right? Like, I feel like that was what him and Austin Theory was supposed to be, but because cats don't like Austin Theory, it's just like, no. But I think that because they're positioning Cody to be the next white meat baby face, I think that that would make a lot of sense to like have a match against Cody to kind of like really solidify like this is the guy now. That's pretty much the only person I could see coming to mind because he's faced everybody else.
All
He's
right,
done
so for
everything else.
me, personally, well, I do understand Cody, and that's not a wrong answer in my eyes. I feel like Cody could get over on his own with the people he has on the roster to deal with. I
Right.
don't think he needs to be solidified because he already solidified himself off the Indies, and
Mm,
then him doing what he did in AEW and then coming in here. I don't think he needs that rub from Cena.
mm.
However, ever since I caught Carmelo Hayes cut the ruthless aggression promo from Cena, I cannot
That would be
take
tough.
my eyes off of that. I
That would be
can't.
tough.
If someone needs a rub, just in case you don't watch NXT and you need to understand why Carmelo is that nigga, you need to have a match with Cena. Because not only would the promos chew,
Mm.
but the match, I'm not even sure if Cena could keep up with Carmelo, but the match would shoot because to me, I kind of do look at Carmelo as a Black John Cena, but he's not like a copy and paste. We looked at Austin Theory when he was in NXT and said, "Oh yeah, that's totally John Cena." But then
Right.
he kind of started doing his own thing, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel authentic. But everything about Carmelo feels authentic. There's a reason why we call him Timothy.
Very
There's a
true.
reason why, and I just feel like if Cena wanted to go out putting a star over and we could just delete what the fuck happened at WrestleMania. Give that shit to Carmelo.
I agree.
Give that to him because the crowd gonna fall in love with him naturally. If you don't get him now, if you don't believe in him off of just looking at him, watch the man work and you gonna fall in love every single time.
Mm.
And then Cena could walk out, and I'm cool. I'm very cool with it. You can even raise his hand afterward. And I think everyone would just be cool with it because Mello, to me, if it's not Braun Breaker, it's Mello that's the future coming out of NXT.
I can see that.
So that's just my take.
Personally, I
And
would love
that's
to
a
see
word.
Personally, I would love to see Mello versus Randy Orton, but that's a different discussion for a different day. But we want to know all these things. So I think the crossover matches, AEW and WWE, as well as who should be John Cena's last opponent. But we're gonna move on to the last topic of the show that I thought we would never be talking about on the show, which is Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans has been released from WWE. She released a statement, I believe, on Instagram saying that at midnight tonight, I'll now be known as Limitless. I think it was Macy or something like that. Something along those lines.
I don't
But
give a shit.
nevertheless, Lacey Evans has been released from WWE. Um, how do you feel about her release? How do you feel about the reception of her release? Let me know. Tell me Wagwan.
I don't give a shit about her going anywhere because I forgot she existed, first and foremost. Um, the most I kind of liked Lacey was when she was doing her first gimmick. I don't even know what the first gimmick was, but she
The
looked like a
lady?
pinup doll.
Yeah, the
And
lady.
she kept
Yeah.
telling everyone to act like a lady, and she was just being a stuck up bitch. And I actually kind of enjoyed it and I kind of enjoyed it during the pandemic era when she was bantering with Bailey, and I got to see some of her personality off camera because she was recording videos with other people where she was bringing her gimmick to real life just for shits and giggles.
Right.
And to me, that gimmick actually was more like likable than what she was doing with the Sergeant Slaughter thing. It just came off very unnatural.
Mm.
Um, that and not for nothing, Lacey Evans came out of NXT too soon. She wasn't ready. She could do some things very well. She is very athletic. It's not hard to tell that she's not an athletic woman, but being athletic doesn't always translate to being a decent wrestler. And I feel like she needed more time to marinate in NXT. However, Vince has a hard on in shape blondes with no asses and implants. She and Lacey just encapsulated that, so I can see why he promoted her so fast. But it was just she was just bound to fail regardless. If I'm
Mm.
not mistaken, the way she blew up on WWE, or not even blew up because she never did blow up. Honestly, she staggered, then she flopped. But the way she was brought upon WWE, I'll never forget the time they kept spamming her walking up and down the fucking ramp like
I
a
remember that
crackhead.
too.
Just
I
walking up
remember
down
that.
the motherfucker, and she did it during WrestleMania too. She interrupted fucking WrestleMania to walk up the fucking ramp and then walk back again, and she did it over and over again compulsively until she fought Becky Lynch, and then she was signed by Charlotte, and she just went through like a borderline personality disorder pertaining to her gimmick because it's a gimmick you could have played with. You really could have played with it. You could have
Right.
made her the girl that shames every bitch on the roster for not being a lady. You really could have done something fun with it, but they just didn't know what to do with it, and then they wanted to push her. But the problem with Lacey is that you cannot push her because she wasn't ready, and they
Right.
did give her ample opportunities to be pushed. They gave her and Natty the
Saudi Arabia match.
precedent. Yeah, they were in the Saudi show. You know what I mean? Like you could tell that they wanted to do something with Lacey, but she just wasn't there on a wrestling level.
Mm.
And then not only that, she kept flopping in the ring. Every match you gave her, like the only takeaway you could give is that someone had to lead her or she was continuously botching. And that's all the discourse was regarding Lacey. That being said, I need y'all to stop acting like you give a fuck about her release because now you got me irritated. Y'all did not give a flying fuck about her. The only time y'all was talking about her was because she flopped in the ring or because her ring gear looked a goddamn mess. If not that, you were tired of her weak ass promos about her being part of the military and blase skip. Can y'all stop with that? Just because someone got released doesn't mean we all have to be sad. Like, it's okay to just shrug your shoulders and just shake it off. You know what I mean? Because y'all really be ignoring wrestlers while they're employed, not fighting for them when they're employed. And then when they put something in notation that I'm leaving this bitch, all of a sudden you guys want to be like, yay, oh my God, you deserve so much better. You were such a good wrestler. She was not nothing. She was nothing of the sorts. Can you stop acting like it? You look like you about to say something, Jordan.
I am.
Go ahead.
So I don't think that, well, for starters, when obviously as a morally sound human being, I want people to be able to like make money, make a living.
They should.
Was Lacey Evans like my favorite wrestler?
No.
No,
I
but
hope not.
at the same at the same time, I get the whole like well wishes and oh you were good at this and you were good at that.
They weren't well wishing her at all. They was lying.
To
They was
be
lying.
to me, Lacey had a good 3 months, and that was after WrestleMania 35. And I think that they just kind of gave up on her because the WWE universe kind of didn't show as much interest as they thought that they would. Um, so I think that that's kind of where she just kind of fell off at. Um, I think there were also some things relating to like just like some of the comments that she's made in the past on Twitter about like science and health and just all these conspiracy theories that she be promoting
Does
that
she try to denounce autism?
yeah tried to denounce all a special type of stupid, y'all. But anyway, I think there were other things and other factors that kind of contributed to her release. Maybe she wanted to be released, maybe she didn't. But it's gonna be very, very interesting to see where she goes from here. Public Enemies on Twitter said that she's about to do numbers in the NWA, and I was screaming. Um,
Why are they doing her like that?
First of all, let me just stop and say this: if
Y'all need to
NWA,
stop.
if Fox News was a wrestling show, if Fox News was a wrestling company, it would be the NWA. That's how I feel about the NWA. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I wish her well. I
Not Fox
feel like
News.
when it comes to wrestling fans, a lot of people, the problem with wrestling fans is that wrestling fans don't necessarily um stand for anything. They just kind of stand against everything, and they want to be against the company or against the wrestler or against some, they want to be against something, and they thrive on being contrarians. And it's like, oh, but we're passionate fans. But a fan means you have to advocate for something. And if you're not advocating for something and you're just kind of advocating against it, then you're not really and truly a fan. So that's just kind of my whole take on that. But I definitely wanted to know what y'all take on the release of Lacey Evans is. Leave it in the comments below. And yeah, that concludes our show for the day. Thank y'all so much. Be sure to follow us and build with us community wise on Reddit. Also, this is a Thursday show now. We're no longer dropping shows on Friday. We're dropping shows on Thursday morning, as you can tell. But yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week.